Thank you for joining me today. If you're new here, thanks for checking out my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a little junk journaling on some pages in one of my Halloween journals. However, it's not overly Halloweeny, and it's always Halloween for me, but mostly the techniques I'm using can be used for any themed journal you have, not Halloween specific. So I'm going to take this envelope and seal the flap to hide the string, and then cut open the end of the envelope to use it as a pocket. Now, if you like junk journaling and you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button down there. It really helps out the channel, doesn't cost you anything, and it helps keep you up to date on new videos that I post. So I'm going to use some washi tape to finish off the edge of this envelope so that that cut edge is sealed. I lay the washi tape where it is kind of half the width of the tape on the front of the envelope, and then tuck it inside the envelope. And so I'm just going to do both sides, and I have this nice spider web design on this tape, so that is fun and ties into the theme. But you could do this with any envelope for any theme. Now, after I get this tape laid, I'm going to move on to what I'm going to be doing for the majority of this video, which is putting temporary tattoos onto paper. Now, I have 3 different kinds of paper that I'm actually going to be putting these tattoos on. And if you stick around, you can see how that turns out on each page, which is a little bit different experience depending on the kind of paper. So I'm going to put these hands, these kind of bone hands with this nice flower on there, and they actually have kind of a glitter on them as well. So I'm going to put these right onto the pages of my journal, and this paper is a like a scrapbook page that I got from Hobby Lobby, this black paper here. So it has very kind of a smooth feel to it. I was a little bit nervous when I was first putting this down that the water would soak into it, but it actually didn't for this type of paper at all. It took the tattoo very well. And I had just a little bit left of the paper on the actual tattoo image, so I took my X-Acto knife here and I just scraped off the little bits of paper. And that's for 2 reasons. Mostly that I did not read the instructions of this particular temporary tattoo, because I totally know how to apply a temporary tattoo. But also, I was initially worried about the water on the paper, and for this particular paper, I should not have been. It was fine. But you'll see a different technique I have a little later in the video with getting this kind of excess paper that the tattoo was on off of the page afterwards. Because these hands and this little bit of paper that's left is the best result that I got out of all of this. So let me scrape off the rest of this and then we will work on the next page. So next I am going to apply this part of the temporary tattoo to the envelope itself. And as you probably know, envelopes are a very lightweight paper. It's like a lightweight copy paper. So it doesn't do well when it gets wet. And so it was a little bit more difficult to apply this, and the backing, or that the paper from the temporary tattoo itself that should just release, stayed a lot on when I applied it to the envelope. So I peeled as much off as I could and then just kind of left it. But I do almost kind of like the kind of grayish and varying tones of the black that is left, because some of that backing paper is still there, but it definitely stayed on some. And sometimes you just have to be okay with how it turns out, even though it's not perfect, or you risk going too far and ruining your project. So now I'm going to take some of these temporary tattoos and apply them to a black cardstock. Now this paper holds up a little bit better, definitely better than the envelope did, but maybe not quite as well as the scrapbooking paper does. Before I had cut up this particular set of tattoos, I decided to read the instructions on the back just to make sure I wasn't missing anything of why they were sticking with the backing a little bit more. And it said for best results to rub gently with water after you have removed that backing, which I don't think I've ever heard before for a temporary tattoo, but it did work better to take some of that backing off. And for this particular cardstock page, it held up enough with that extra water going on it that it wasn't really a problem. But trying to do that on the envelope would never have worked. It would have just destroyed that envelope paper. So this black card insert for the envelope turned out rather nice. Now I'm going to move on and I'm going to put this die cut that I got from Botox Rocks Happy Mail, and I'm going to put this onto the front side of this envelope. I think that it is going to go perfect with this kind of black and red and white color scheme I have here, and the skull with the top hat and the crow and this little spider. It just adds that perfect touch to this page. So a nice spider with the washi tape spider web is all tying together. So I like how that turned out. I'm going to do just a coat of matte Mod Podge over that whole entire thing, and that's just really going to help all those edges stick down, and it's going to help give the same consistent finish over the whole entire thing, so I don't have to worry about the little bits of Mod Podge that came out from underneath the back of it. Now I'm going to create some insert pages for the pocket pages. So that's going to be the actual pocket that's in the page itself, the black page, not the envelope. So I'm just have some white cardstock that I've cut down to approximate size, and I'm going to take this black distress ink and I'm just going to smudge it on the edges of the front and the back of this page, kind of all the way around, to kind of give it that little bit of almost a smoky feel kind of to it, a little bit of a just dark haze, that kind of dark vintage kind of look and feel to this particular page. So I'm going to leave the center pretty white because I'm going to be applying some tattoos there. And this is not waterproof ink. And in hindsight, I probably should have done the tattoos first and then distressed the page. But you craft and you learn. So now I know. But I'm going to go ahead and do the whole entire back as well. Not the whole entire, I'm going to leave the middle, but I'm going to do around the whole edges of the back side as well. So ultimately this page will end up with a lot of writing surface if I decide to actually write in this journal, which is actually unlikely, but it will be pretty and look like I could write in it. So I'm going to put a couple of pieces of this just kind of decorative scrap fiber paper that I have, and so I'm going to use some red and some black to tie into the kind of red and black theme of this particular page. And after I get those on, then I'm going to put this little red kind of rhinestone, and just to give it that little bit of sparkle. So that is how the front will look. And I'm going to go ahead and make another page. And now I'm going to put the tattoos on the back side, and I'm using the hand tattoos. Now this is a cardstock, so it's very similar to the black cardstock insert that I just did. The backing wants to stick on it, and I'm going to take off as much with the X-Acto knife as possible, because again, I do have this ink all over the page and I don't want it to run if I get too much water on there. But I can go ahead and rub this down with water as well to get some of that excess backing that I couldn't get with the X-Acto knife off. And it turned out really well. So as long as I was careful, kind of right around the edges, the ink didn't run too much. So I'm going to do the other hand on the other page, and so they kind of mirror each other. I put the little fabric and rhinestone on opposite sides of the front, and so you have the opposite hands on the back. You get a left and a right. These tattoos were actually designed to put on your hands and use as kind of a Day of the Dead temporary tattoo Halloween costume. But I obviously did not do that and used them on paper instead. But you know what? This will last so much longer than a temporary tattoo on my skin. So just clean up this second one and we will see how it all turned out. So you'll see these pages just go right into these little pockets of the actual junk journal pages. This side was sticking for me a little bit. It happens to be just a little bit long, but I'll fix that in just a minute. So this black page is going to be an insert for the envelope pocket. And that actually fits very nicely. So that looks good. But this page is sticking out too much. So I'm going to just trim it off just a little bit. And I'm going to do that by taking my ruler and this X-Acto knife and just trimming a little bit on the edges. And because I already have the temporary tattoo there, I want to take a little bit off one side and a little bit off of the other side, because I did try to center it up. And I do have my little decorative piece on the front, but it really doesn't take that much off of it to trim a little bit on this side. So I hope you enjoyed watching this junk journaling video today and seeing these pages being made and these inserts for the pages. And if you'd like to see more, go ahead and hit that playlist.